As a wrestling fan, I'm certainly thankful for shows like this. I'm John Wetton with my review of AEW Dynamite Thanksgiving Edition. I hope you're all having a terrific turkey day, ham day, whatever foods you decide to put down your gullet, whatever pies you decide to go face first into. Make sure to stuff your significant others like turkeys and end up with way more cranberry sauce than you planned. This got a little bit weird, but I hope you're all having a terrific holiday, giving thanks to the friends, family, and loved ones that you have, and just enjoying yourselves and relaxing and everything. Relax, don't do it, especially when the carb coma hits. Relax, don't do it when you want to go, when the food decides to process and you have to go. Okay, enough of that. There was a lot of good shit on this show. There really was. I almost think that it couldn't even hit the peak that it hit in the first segment, but the pace of the show was really goddamn nice because they were in Chicago, so it was a molten hot crowd pretty much throughout the entire goddamn night. Even the lesser segments still had some pop to them because they didn't stay around all that long and they were over quickly, and we got on to more and more good stuff. This is one of the better editions of Dynamite that they've done recently, and for a holiday edition, they really put the pedal to the metal, and they're pushing towards winter is coming in 2022 when they go to TBS, but Rampage ends up staying on TNT. A little bit weird. But yeah, let's talk about it. Boy, that opening segment. CM Punk, huge pop. It's clobbering time. Big crowd, big ovation. JR is all up. I hope that JR is, doing as well as he can with his skin cancer treatment. I hope he beats it. Cancer's a goddamn bitch. But he sounded energetic, and, the voice of a couple generations. I mean, JR is a terrific fucking announcer, and I really do hope he beats this. MJF out to thunderous boos and asshole chants. I mean, by the time he was getting to the ring, asshole. It's like, back in the Attitude Era and back in, WWE, even like WCW, and just that crowd energy. God, I miss that crowd energy. But Chicago crowds are really goddamn hot. And the crowd is so fucking, great. Shut the fuck up chants. I mean, and MJF, no. It just... God damn it, such a smarmy asshole. He's so good. And I'm not going to go through every single bit of dialogue, but I'm going to hit the highlights here. I do have a lot of notes, though. He says, well, this is talking about taking his ball and going home, MJF to Punk, and he mentions the pipe bomb and everything, but every MJF promo is the best MJF promo and everything. That was pretty much your peak. And unlike you, I'm not a one-trick pony. I respect the fact that you're straight edge, even though I didn't think somebody straight edge would look like a meth addict, because, it's harkening back to when Triple H talked about, him, not drinking or smoking, but not looking like he was on a, 2-week bender with Amy Winehouse. That was years and years ago. And just all the stuff that they were doing here, really good shit. They let this go long, and I didn't want it to end. Now, obviously, it had to end because we had to get to the rest of the show. But this zoomed by. This was a 20-minute promo segment that felt like it was over in an instant because it was good. It wasn't scripted. Obviously, there were a few lines and barbs that were obvious that both these guys knew they were going to say to each other, but Punk's tremendous on promos. MJF's on another goddamn level when it comes to promos. It's just really good. This is exactly the shit we need to see. Well, we're going to go toe-to-toe on the stick, and I'm going to finish you quicker than your UFC career. Obvious, jab there, but really good. and you're CM Punk, you drop pipe bombs. I'm MJF, and I drop nukes. And Punk then, he let MJF say his piece and everything. He says, well, I will say last week you introduced yourself, and that's what young men are supposed to do with their elders. But, I thought, after that, I thought MJF just stood for my jealous fan. And Punk, when he didn't have to say much because you could know a couple lines I think really got MJF where it's like maybe he knew it was coming. He's like, oh, you actually said it. So he's talking about how he didn't mention he didn't mention MJF's name by design during this promo, during when he was talking about all the opponents he wanted to face, and MJF felt slighted by it, even though he didn't say it. He didn't blame him because he knew that Punk knew he would be destroyed. But then he says, I stood up to MJF without saying a single word, and you could tell that bothered MJF. You had a whole week to come up with this, and you go for the low-hanging fruit. He talks about what he does is revolutionary for professional wrestling, when in reality he's just a less famous Miz. My God, stop it. Stop the damn match. Stop. He's already dead. And god damn, he's like, oh Jesus. He got that got a motherfucker out of MJF. You could see he's like, the thing is that MJF's better in the ring than Miz and better on the mic than Miz. Now I'm not saying that Miz hasn't had the better career, he's had the longer career. And good on him. Miz, of course, is probably at home after the Dancing with the Stars, just like, what the fuck, what did I do? Why am I trending? And the crowd's Miz. This is great. This is great shit. This is one of my favorite things. This would have belonged in any territory, in any whatever. This would have belonged in the Attitude Era. Really, really good stuff. Ruthless Aggression Era, even. This was really, really good stuff. And just so much great shit here. Like, they were just Punk, then settled down, and MJF talked. Ms. JF, he says, I almost got what I wanted, out of this. This is almost what I want. Just like your AEW career. You're just happy to be here and all that and everything. And your breath smells like shit because all you've been doing is kissing ass. Robotic promo. Insert name here. And based on your eyes, if anyone needs to go to sleep, it's you. You're not CM Punk. You're PG Punk. You might as well be preaching hustle, loyalty, and respect. I enjoy these cheap shots. I enjoy when WWE takes these entertaining kind of cheap shots. I enjoyed this. Now, it did get a little bit where, okay, you got one and then you went to the well one too many times, but I can overlook that. Hell, it's like, talking about, but here's the difference. I can see you. Hell, I can see through you. And, you sat at home for 7 long years. It was actually almost 8, if we're being honest. And the crowd is just eating this goddamn shit up. Could he hang in the first place? He would always be seen as second best. He was held down in WWE, but now that he's over in AEW, what could he actually do? Could he actually still go? Or what could you actually still do, Punk? You had to put your blood, sweat, and tears into this. I was born into this. Your whole career has been about second best. Whether it was the You Can't See Me Man or the King of Kings. Now the King of King lines actually was funny, but then it's like, okay, you already said the one scene line, but whatever, I'll overlook that. And talking about, I was selling out MSG while you were, marking out for Rosie O'Donnell. Now, the timeline doesn't match up, as Punk said, but still, it's funny. And he says, you made the New York Times for your song and dance and everything. You want to do a song and dance for you, Maxwell? Punk just cutting into him. And then says, you'll be in the New York Times again, but in the obituaries, because you're not, this is a college that your parents can't, pay for. I beat Darby Allin without a ring. You talk about being the 4 pillars, you don't realize you were passed by Britt Baker. And it says, talking about being the, number one, the only way you'll be number one is if we're all around long enough for Tony to have a daughter so you can marry her. Boom. That's it. Now, I know I said I wasn't going to go through the whole thing, but I had to hit the highlights there. This, I don't know if it's on their YouTube channel, but if it is, fucking check this out if you haven't. It's fucking terrific. It is one of the best promo back and forth segments that wrestling has done in a number of years. That's WWE, that's AEW, if you even want to include NXT in the WWE bubble and all that stuff and everything. Impact Wrestling, I don't know about Ring of Honor necessarily, but as far as just big league promos, this was fucking great. This is exactly what we needed, and the good thing is, we get to where, when they eventually clash, and they have to me, go to Revolution. Go to Revolution in a few months. You can do this. You can have Punk face off against Spears. Maybe he can make Spears interesting. He can face Wardlow. he could have a partner and face off against FTR. You can do this. You can do this stuff with the Pinnacle. You can even have Punk and MJF on opposite sides of like a 6 or 8 man tag and have them have brief skirmishes, but don't have them have a singles match until the pay-per-view. Nurse this thing out. Keep this thing going. They could do it. That was a lot of time to cover for a promo segment that was really fucking good. Yeah, of course, he did say punching him in his needle dick right here in the crowd's chanting needle dick, and MJF takes off his stuff, and then, he powders. So then we get CM Punk in the ring against QT Marshall with the Factory, and Punk had to fight the numbers game until the guys were kicked out. He hit a series of slams to pops. That was really nice. And eventually, even though QT used wrestled, Punk hit a diving elbow, and then the GTS 1-2-3. Some of these matches are going to be covered really quickly. So he high-fives the fans and leaves. Shivani is there with the Jurassic Cage press, if you will. That I'm going to have to come up with a better name for that. Christian Cage, who has... He's been fucking marginalized like... And nothing against Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy. O-E-O-E-O. But Cage doesn't feel important. I mean, he was always kind of like, except in TNA, kind of like a mid, maybe upper mid-card guy anyway. But, whew. He's like, we feel unbeatable, and they have momentum, and Jurassic Express are going to win the tag titles, and Cage is going to help them. Cage is going to turn on them, is what he's going to do. If you can't see this coming, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do for you. So Eddie Kingston's in catering. He's eating and everything, and 2.0 and Garcia interrupt him. And he says, you're not hungry anymore. Well, I got this cake right here. Eddie just taking the piss out of this, like, just be, like, interrupting. He's like, oh, please, I'm begging for, to be left alone. You couldn't help your friend Moxley. Now, and I'm sure Moxley signed off on it, and I'm sure Eddie was okay with it, but still like, ooh, I hope Moxley's doing all right. By the way, now him and Renee and their daughter, I think they had a daughter, I believe, have a terrific Thanksgiving, and that Moxley is getting the treatment that he needs. So, it's like coffee into Kingston's face. Ow, my eyes, I'm not supposed to get dark coffee in it, or any coffee. Coffee's bad for the eyes. It's best to be ingested orally. Moving on. This is fine. This is just set up their match on Rampage. I did read Rampage spoilers, by the way, because somebody sent them to me. Don't post them here. Rampage is going to be kind of silly. So we get Billy and Colton Gunn with Austin Gunn against Bear Country. Okay, it wasn't necessarily, I don't think it was necessary to have this match, but it at least was short. And the Gunn Club are heels, and they won with... they won pretty quickly because Austin interfered, and then Colt 45 in a couple. So at least it didn't overstay its welcome. Sting shows up, and then Austin's going to go meet him. And Darby just comes from the colored tunnel, the face tunnel, and just, boom, just hits him like a freaking, missile. And then the Guns run off, and they just stare them down and everything. I guess we're going to get that at Winter is Coming. January 8th is Battle of the Belts because Championship Wrestling from Florida has decided to make its return. I mean, hey, it's all right. It's going to be on a Saturday, though. Is that a live event? Are they going to do a special... Is it going to be a special broadcast? I'm genuinely curious. I wasn't quite sure. If it's a live event, good for them, and I hope they sell out. I think it's in North Carolina. I don't remember if it's in Greensboro, but I know it's in North Carolina. So, which is a bit weird they didn't have it in Florida. But Cole and Fish are talking about how we're best friends. Let me tell you about my best friends. Oh, here are the best friends, Chuck, Orange Cassidy, and Wheeler Yuta. I like Wheeler Yuta. And I like Cole. Fish is also there. Orange Cassidy's the same gimmick, and Chuck Taylor exists. Who are the better friends? Who are the better best friends? That is what the feud is. Why? Anyway, Shivani, they were doing good, and then they did this, but it was brief. Shivani interacting, he's moderating this thing with Leo and Dante and Team Taz. And by the way, who's standing there but Hook? Hook, by the way, sitting down is as tall as his dad standing up. I can't believe that. So Dante got this offer from Team Taz, and they decided to get rid of this Leo and Dante tag team for whatever reason. I mean, I didn't care for it anyway. But now, Dante has signed with Team Taz. And guess who offered him his sack? Hook! Stop thinking about it, Noah. Anyway, Dante is just part of Team Taz. That's probably smart because Ricky is wrestling on occasion. But if they need somebody and they want to build this stable, it's not the worst idea in the world. Also, Hook! Can't help but say that. Shivani saying it like that at Revolution just will forever be funny. Jamie Hayter with Britt and Rebel versus Thunder Rosa. And I wonder if you could guess who I was rooting for. Is it that obvious? I like Jamie Hayter. She's quite good. She's gonna get better. She's gonna get better as things go on. She's got size. She's got ability. Thunder Rosa is my favorite wrestler of 2021 by far, and that's all due respect to everybody. New Japan, every other company, but my favorite wrestler of the year is she gets huge pops every time she appears on AEW programming. How could you not love her? She's really good in the ring. Hit a stiff dropkick during this match. It's a TBS quarterfinal match, by the way. This was really, really good. Now, there is one issue that I had with it later on, and that's not even the fault of the women. I just think it's how it was laid out. But it was physical. It was physical. And Jamie did, some really good power spots. Thunder Rosa just kept, attacking. This had a big fight feel, felt personal. The pace rarely slowed down. I mean, they had a couple spots where they had to take a breath because as great of athletes as they are, eventually the body needs to be like, okay, let's take a couple seconds here. So, my only issue, it seemed like, Thunder Rosa's going to get the victory. She got the necktie on, stuff like that, after some great back and forth, and Jamie looking like she's going to win. I did note scintillating camera work during this match, and Jamie gets tied up in the Peruvian necktie. I believe that's what it's called. I apologize if I got it wrong. But then they had Rebel up over, right behind Thunder Rosa, on that part of the apron. Okay, referee's distracted. Britt gets in the ring. Thunder Rosa is like trying to go at her. Jamie hits her, grabs her, and then, but Rebel's got the referee distracted for like forever and a day. And Britt eventually hits the super kick, but Thunder Rosa moves. Jamie gets hit, and then Britt gets knocked out. Britt gets knocked into Rebel, and then the dreaded roll up 1, 2, 3. I understood what they were trying to do with the distraction finish, and that's not even the fault of the women. I just think it was the way it was laid out. That being said, did it take away from the match? No, not really. It was a well-wrestled match, as you would expect with anything Thunder Rosa's involved in, and Jamie Hayter has the poise and did her part here. There was some good stuff here. This is the kind of stuff the AEW women's division can do. I'm not saying top to bottom that some women don't need more TV time, more ring work and that and everything, but hopefully maybe once they move to TBS, they could incorporate the women a little bit more. Because the one women's match, it's getting a little bit dodgy to me. That being said, this was very good. So, and again, Thunder Rosa, my favorite wrestler of 2021, by far. Fucking great. Fucking phenomenal. I enjoy watching her every time she appears on television. So, Jericho was interrupted by 2.0 and Daniel Garcia and said, "You have a square head." And then said it about 8 more times because Jericho has gotten to the point where pandering pretty much should be his middle name. Chris Panderico, if you will. I mean, it sounds like I'm doing Panera Bread. I also don't know what the fuck the jacket was. Shivani is with Britt and Rebel. It's Friendsgiving. Well, because Shivani showed footage of Riho being technically not eliminated from the Battle Royal, she gets a Black Friday deal match on Rampage, and if she beats Britt, she gets a guaranteed world title shot. And then Britt's upset, says, "Well, you ruined Halloween, you ruined Thanksgiving, you say anything more, you're not invited to Christmas." And look at that entire spread that they had out in front of them. Shivani playing this well here. I don't know why. Shivani and Britt, that friendship, I wasn't so sure about it at first. You know what? It actually has worked out, and it's pretty good. And you can tell that they enjoy interacting with each other. So, Bryan Danielson beat Colt Boom Boom Cabana by being a full-on dickish heel. And even though Colt got some cheers because he's from Chicago, actually some pretty big cheers, kicks to the face and a bell lock for the win. Not a lot to this match. It wasn't bad, but it was what it needed to be. And apparently also Bryan kicked one of Colt's teeth out. Ouch. Shivani's talking to Bryan Danielson. "It's taking a while for me not to say Daniel Bryan, so I apologize for if I ever say that." He says, "When I debuted in Chicago, I got a much different reaction or whatever. It's like, I haven't changed, you've changed. You're all fickle." He worked that line in because Bryan just knows how to push the fucking buttons. Because he was seen as a WWE guy for so long, because he was there for quite a while. Even though he had a massive library of work on the indies, all over the world. But this is great. And then he says, This is leading to the ultra head kicking in of Adam Hangman Page. And here's Page. Speak his name and the cowboy shit will appear, which was a pretty good line by Excalibur. I don't exactly get the hate for Excalibur on commentary. And Page says, I'll wrestle you tonight. Of course, and Brian says, of course he'll do it after I've had a match. I'll even give you the first shot. And he puts his hand behind his back and everything. And he says, oh, don't insult me. He slaps him. And then they have a brief skirmish. He sends him over the ropes. And Page kicks him. Brian dodges the buckshot, powdering. Terrific. Brian Danielson is the heel they need. Now, I'm not saying the Miro isn't fucking terrific. He is. And hopefully they can juice him back up very, very soon. But this is really good stuff. So far, they're doing some great, great stuff here. Again, there's been a few, you're going to get that on any show. It's certainly better than any episode of Raw for the last God knows how long, because they're putting at least life and energy into this. And Rampage, Garcia and Kingston, Britt and Rio, Orange Cassidy and Wheeler Yuta versus Cole and Fish. Dynamite is Statlander versus Ruby Soho. And also, Tony Khan's going to announce more matches on Rampage. So, Malachi making his entrance. It's like the Antlers thing. If you've seen Antlers, by the way, fucking terrific movie. Well, if you haven't seen it, fucking terrific movie. If you have seen it, maybe you think so. Check out my movie reviews playlist if you want to know more. Would you like to know more? Click. Should review that too. So anyway, FTR entrance. I do love the music. And Andrade, El Oli Oli O. Death Triangle, Pyro, and everything. I always forget that Pac is part of the, is part of Death Triangle with Lucha Bros because they're always doing their own separate things. And then those boos for Cody. My God, those boos for Cody. I'm just going to say right now that Cody deserves every bit of ridicule that he gets as far as, as far as how he thinks he's like his dad when he's not even 20% of his dad on his dad's worst day. And Dustin is a better worker than him. That being said, is Cody bad in the ring? Cody can do some good stuff. Cody needs to lean into this because Cody has not been well-liked for a while. It's been a while. This is not a new thing. Fans are getting tired of Cody. One, he's got a stupid twat wife that doesn't, has never earned a goddamn thing in wrestling, does not deserve to be on television. And also, hate to say it, actual beliefs do kind of play a part in it or whatever, and Cody knows what that whole, January 6th wasn't that bad promo that he had about Anthony Monster Ogogo, who I hope is doing well because I believe he had another eye surgery. He might as well have just basically said it wasn't that bad, and also his stupid tattoo that he has. It's a fucking terrible tattoo. Why would you have that tattoo, and why would you basically just say, yeah, I wear a red hat, what of it? By the way, I don't care if anybody gets upset about me throwing my views, my political views in wrestling, or, in my wrestling reviews or anything. If you have a problem with that, too bad. It's my channel. I enjoy you guys watching, but I'm not going to care because if people can say their views, I can say my views. So fuck y'all if you don't like it. So Cody got all the boos and all the pyro and all that. It's Death Triangle and Cody versus Malachi, Andrade, El Oli Oli O, and FTR. Arn and Tully, Arn was in the corner of the faces. Tully and G.I. Jose were in the heels corner. Cody was booed endlessly. They threw the weight belt back. I mean, apparently, according to reports, the guy wanted to keep it, but his peer pressure, throw it back. So he threw it back, nearly hitting Aubrey. If he had hit Aubrey, that would have been some heat right there, because you do not hit a Washington State talent. You don't hit any talent. You definitely don't hit a woman, Austin. Anyway. Oh, right. But it was kind of funny how they did it. And Cody looked upset. Penta was busy laughing. And the tag work is mostly good as expected. Phoenix goes nuts, and, we get a melee at the end. Pac gets tagged. Cody got booed every time he got in any offense. Pac got kicked in the head by Cody on accident, but then Tully and Arn face off. G.I. Jose comes in and then gets laid out. Alex runs him off. Arn and Tully look like they're going to have this face off. My God, they're actually going to do this. They're going to actually have a fucking match. They're going to watch them do a blood and guts thing and watch them have these guys on opposite sides. Please don't do, they're going to do it. They're going to do it, aren't they? They're going to do it. A winter is coming, except that's too soon. And then, So the Lucha Bros dive, and then Pac gets black misted in the face, and then DDT 1, 2, 3. Andrade El Olio gets the victory. Yeah, that was a bit of a long review, but you know what? It was a pretty good show. Let me know your thoughts on this show in the comments, please. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Retlin. Happy Thanksgiving, folks. I'll see you soon.